Hello everybody, welcome back to Trash Comps. Today we're going to do the full DLC team. They've now released 4 DLC characters, so we're going to put them all on a team together and see how that sticks. Let's get into their perks. For Yogger, we have health, we have a few resistances, getting up to that plus 3%. We're maxing out his speed because he is going to be our fast boy, and he is going to slow the enemy team as well as speed everybody up, ideally. Then we have him on full block. We are going full support Yogger. He's also going to be applying all our vulnerable with his pet Wolfie and applying a bit of fortify to our team. We also have wet charges stacking up and a bit of powerful charges just in case we get some items where he can apply powerful to either himself or others, ideally others. We are also maxing out on Vitality by giving him Vitality on this hero increases max HP by 8 per charge. One of the things that I really wanted to do was have every DLC character be able to do their own thing. So in a sense, like, I really wanted Yogger to go HP related skills and have his fresh meat and maybe feed the rich do a lot of damage. In that same vein, I'm going to have Laia on going a dual cleric warrior build that is really making use of her defensive capabilities as well as being able to do a little bit more support stuff as well. So we have maxed out block on Laia. We also are going max speed. Laia is going to be mainly supporting the other two. We didn't go the damage build on Laia because she tends to apply fire with Excalibur in here. And fire is going to make us lose wet charges on enemies and not going to stack whenever we apply wet, so it's just going to be a little bit of a bombo. She doesn't really fit super well, but with her and Yogger blocking, we actually should have a fair amount of block on this team. She can also heal, not that we were focusing on heals that much. We have her at maxed out powerful charges so that she could apply powerful to others. That's going to be one of our other main things that we're doing, as well as maxed out sanctify and maxed out holy damage. We also have Bless on heroes increasing holy resistance by 0.5% per charge and not losing stacks at the end of the turn, which should help us out in the final boss fight a little bit more because the boss does damage based on your Bless and holy damage at that. So for Navalea, she's going to be one of our carries. We were able to get resistances pretty close to up, like maxed out. We have her going at 16 speed, and we're going to have her behind Laia so that she can actually go after Laia because otherwise she's a little bit faster, where Laia is caps out at 16 speed. You can notice I have like mark on every single one of the warriors just because sometimes it makes sense to pick up some mark cards on them. She starts with Curse of Fragility, and we're going to be going crack on her as well, very similar to the team we did last week where she's going to be focusing on a bit of blunt damage and a bit of frost as part of her kit here, although we should be able to more reliably get her the, icebreaker weapon, that's what it's called. And then we have wet charges on her, of course, and, oh yeah, I chose not to get an Inspire perk on Yogger. It wasn't the best, and then Laia has the Inspire gives 2 draw, but you can only have a maximum of 1, because we didn't have a ton of Inspire going around on our 2 supports, so having her get 2 draw from Yogger and then be able to apply a bunch of Inspire to the other heroes herself seemed like the best use of all the Inspire charges that we could get. On top of that, we now have Amelia. Amelia is going to also be one of our main carries. She's going to actually be a bit more block-centric. We have the increased vulnerability charges on her because we had a spare perk, kind of, though we weren't able to max out block, but I don't really need to max out block. Then we have charges that we apply are increased by 1. We have wet charges, they're going to make cold do more damage per wet stack. We have maximum frost charges, and both Amelia and Navalea are going to have the powerful maximum charges on this hero increased by 2, and they get reduced by 1. We don't have a ton of sources of powerful innately, so that's why I chose to go the more safe route rather than going with a powerful on this hero increases damage by 10%. Though that one would certainly be viable too and probably help you out a lot in the early game. It matters less so in the late game because it's like a difference of 10% powerful, and sometimes can be harmful if you have to stall out your turns a little bit more, which I wasn't sure how this team would have to do. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Pre-recorded video as always. We have re-rolled till we got a route that I liked where we could visit a rift and then go down south and pick up just a little bit more fights before we go get Purple Wolfie. You can see I already have all the decks. Feel free to pause the video. I did have to try this team multiple times, so it's a little bit of a signifier of how hard the teams really are. It wasn't as smooth as I'd hoped it would be. You could say there's a reason not to do like all these heroes together for sure. Double checking all my perks. Looks like I did end up going with the powerful perk on Amelia. I kind of changed that based on the powerful gives 10%. I changed that based on the items that we get initially, or based on the cards that I pick up initially. So that's one of the reasons that you see it change. Like I said, either really works. Killing the wolf here is something I really want to do. Secondarily, we want to kill the squirrel so it doesn't slow us down too much. We are using our Inspires, Clarities, Helping Hands to get rid of all these slow charges on the team, which is a very nice feature. And Amelia is going to do a good amount of damage, as well as be able to slow the enemy team, so that we don't get too slow. Unfortunately, the squirrel slowed us all down so that the pig was then able to go and do a little bit more damage. So this first fight's not going extremely well, but Laia thankfully has a starting card that heals off of percent missing HP, so she heals quite a bit. And we have target prioritization on the farmer now, because the farmer was going to be healing. The squirrel's already going super slow. Laia is mainly going to be a Inspire body, as well as giving a little bit of block in the early game, and then our damage is going to be coming from Navalea and Amelia. Though Laia will also apply a good amount of Sanctify. That is going to be the primary way that our team heals, is Sanctify, not actual heal cards. Which means that our team has to attack in full, but that's honestly the plan. Amelia actually has a fun little, I don't know what to call it, I forget what it's, character event, I guess, off of that uncommon event there where you help out the farmers to get rope. And instead of just getting rope, you get some shards. I think you might have gotten some gold from the farmers too, I can't quite remember, but I think you get more shards than gold. And anyways, it's just overall the better option to do, is what I found, which I didn't know before starting this run, so that was fun. We're stacking up block on Amelia because of reasons. You know? Because of reasons. I don't think we have the Winter Orb block card yet. So I'm not really... Oh, because she's the only one who can get Fortify, and we all were going slower anyways. Unfortunately here, Yogger dies, which is not too great for us. Thankfully here, Amelia is at... Or not Amelia. No, Navalea is at super low health, and she's going to be able to do a ton of damage. One of the other sort of bombos we have on this team is that Navalea heals up whenever she attacks a sanctified creature, meaning she's going to have a hard time actually staying at lower health, and the more she attacks, the less damage she'll be doing, because her passive makes her do more damage when she's below 50% health, and increases by percentage every like little bit she's below 50% health. So yeah, like I said, if you're going to replace a person on the team, you'd probably switch out Laia for somebody else, maybe a different healer, maybe just somebody who could be a faster blocker or do more glass cannon damage stuff. But it's fine as it is. This is the DLC team. Oh shoot, I forgot I was going to mention this, but you may have heard me like say this pay-to-win team. It's mostly sarcastic. This team is good, but it's not really that much better than any other team you can create. Though it is funny that I ended up getting my best score on this team, as you'll probably have seen in the thumbnail. So yeah, we wanted to go this route. We waited for a rift that could go after the hatch to go all the way down, so we could get the maximum number of fights, and then we could also pick up a, what's it called? A rope here to get a pig to throw into the pit and get a powerful boon card in our deck, giving us an energy and powerful. It's powerful in both ways. Thankfully, we were able to go faster than the squirrel here. It's one of the things that like mainly I've been trying to do with Frost. I have to hope that the bleed hits the squirrel. Unfortunately, it doesn't. The squirrel gets to go off and do some more damage, slow our allies. The shackles here was a really annoying move from the first turn. I don't know, I just got kind of unlucky with the movesets, I think. Generally, I think we would have been more okay on this fight if it were not for the shackles. So, just sort of how it goes. One of the other nice things about having 8 Vitality on Yogger, rather than just focusing on the max health like we did, because you could have had 16 extra max health, is you can heal a lot more during fights. Because instead of 5, which gives you 2.5 health in terms of healing, it gives you 8 max health, which gives you 4 health in terms of healing, so you actually heal a lot faster, and then you can scale that up with premium meat. So it's very good use for Yogger, plus it'll help him have a probably reach his higher cap of maximum HP, although technically like he could have a even higher cap of max HP if you go with the 16 health and are also able to get the max vitality perk on him. So it's just a little bit of give and take. Not a lot of spare perk points. I even had to go up the Inspire perk on him. So now, thankfully, the Inspire perk is, well, I mean, I say thankfully. Unfortunately, the Inspire perk is not as good as it once was, because it doesn't give you the draw turn 1, so just overall your turn 1s are far less consistent, which has mattered on quite a few fights that I've had in runs in general. And yeah, you're more subject to the whims of randomness in your deck, unfortunately. Here we do find a purple pain suppression, which is a decent heal as well as a good block and barrier card. We have another helping hand on Navalea. The reason I'm going to take pain suppression here is because we are going to have a ice barrier on Navalea or on Amelia. She's going to be trying to max out her block pretty quickly so that we can get a really powerful Winter's Orb that scales off of block. There's one of the ice barriers that gives you a taunt when you activate it. So if we give her pain suppression, she will not only be mitigating damage through the mitigation, but she will be mitigating damage through Spell Sword as well, which makes her take 1 less damage per stack of Spell Sword, and she can have up to 5 of those. So that's sort of the plan. I had to turn down the music there a little bit because it was giving me a rough time. Alright, here we focus Bella for. He's pretty easy, honestly, with this team because we are ice. He doesn't resist ice at all. He's just going to take a ton of damage. We barely managed to get the kill before they go again, though, so it's kind of lucky. We get a purple Expected Prophecy, which is one of the best cards you could get. A draw 4, place 1 card from your hand on top of your deck. It's just like a free draw 3, and then maybe set yourself up better for next turn. It's great. Amelia also takes a Cold Hands. Not that we have a lot of cards sticking in her graveyard just yet, but we probably will in the future. We take Purification. We take the Regal Cold perk, because that just makes the most sense to me. And yeah, Yogger also goes with his support skill perk. Whenever he plays a skill, it makes his skill reduced by 1 in his hand permanently, or at least, sorry, permanently, for the rest of the fight, which ends up being pretty nice for us overall. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to slow these guys enough so that they go too slow afterwards because of all the reduced charges that they do and the slow and speed up that they do. It's really, really frustrating, the fact that they not only purge fast and then slow, but then slow us. Like, oh, God. If they could have just slowed us so that our fast actually mattered. Yeah, this fight's interesting. They don't actually do a ton of damage early on. It's really a round 3 spike of damage that you have to worry about. On teams that don't have any healing, taking a round from these guys, though, can be very devastating. Fortunately, our team does have some healing with Sanctify. And also, fortunately, we kind of want Navalea to be damaged to do maximum damage anyways. So we're pretty okay. We also have a bit of block, so we can not take as much damage as some of the other more, what's it called, teams. All-in teams, I guess is a good way to put it. We're sort of trying to set up Amelia to do as much damage as possible, but unfortunately I can't just rely on that because, well, yeah, I'm noticing it now. Laya doesn't have the damage to kill the guy in back, and now the guy in back's going to get to go. No, wait, I slowed him down just enough somehow. I forget how I did that, but anyways, that was nice. Because if he'd gotten to go again, it would have been really frustrating. So we are going to get a good instead of an excellent, but we still get the loot rewards after fighting these guys, so all's pretty well. We're healing up fairly nicely. Navalea is going to be around 50% HP, a little bit higher. I get an upgraded Ice Barrier, which is something I definitely want. We also get an upgraded Bluff, which is something I want, and I take a Battle Plan on Laya. So good items here, or not, sorry, good cards there. Kind of mediocre items here. We get Eldritch Wand, which is nice. And then we get a Ice Ring, which gives us a little bit more Insanity and Frost charges, which is okay. We're going to pick up a Club on Navalea, which gives her +1 more Crack charges, as well as +2 Blunt damage. So, nice little pickup there from Otis's spot. And yeah, so far the run's going pretty okay, outside of Yogger dying very quickly in the early game. If I'd been able to give him more resistances, or we had gotten slightly better fights, that wouldn't have happened. This team definitely struggles more in the early game than it does in the late game. But it's I didn't get quite as lucky as last time, and this team might not have the same maximum capacity as our last team did with Amelia on the full cold, where we were actually able to do really well in the final fights. If you watched that video, if you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend it. I go more in depth than Amelia's character, as well as just have a really fun, strong run that suffers a lot in the early game because it's a all mage sort of run, and there's a lot of factors going into that. You don't have healing, you have barely any block thanks to Navalea, though you at least have some, so it's easier than like all pure mage, but it's really hard. This fight wasn't too hard, and they're definitely getting easier as time goes on. We get a upgraded Winter's Orb that is actually equal to block. That was super lucky, made me very happy. I'm thinking about taking the upgraded Ground Slam because it does apply vulnerability, applies a bit of crack, so I think maybe Laia could help out with Navalea there, especially since we're going to be applying a lot of crack. I felt like it'd be good, but I'm not sure about it, to be honest. So, a lot of good cards we're getting here. Sanctify with, the AoE Sanctify that we're getting with the, shoot, I forget what the card called. Laia's card, I don't know, is pretty nice. It's definitely keeping us more healthy in the game, and it makes me feel pretty comfortable that even if we take a bit of damage in the fights, we're going to be able to heal back up as long as Laia can stack as much Sanctify as possible. That's one of the reasons we went maximum Sanctify charges on her rather than going with a more high damage variant where she could do damage based off the Sanctify. Since that would help us more in the later game, but it hurts us a lot more in the early game because we're stacking one less charge on the Holy Nova. So, yeah. And as you can see in the early game, we're definitely suffering quite a bit. But I do think that each of the character classes, or each of the characters' little quirks gets to shine a little bit in this run. Maybe not as much as I initially had hoped, but definitely a fair bit. I initially wanted Laia to be a carry as well as Yogger potentially being a carry, but that was a little bit hard. We get a purple Blood Rain, which is very nice. I thought about picking up Main, but it's too expensive for 4 slow that it is. We have another Rain card, but it's on Amelia, and I don't want Amelia to be the one playing Rains if possible. I'd rather have Navalea doing it. Wolfskin Cloak is going to let Yogger have another Howl in his deck, which is pretty decent. Then we're going to have a Ball of Wool, which can slow a random monster by 2, which is pretty good. And we are going to pick up Wolfie so that we can upgrade to Purple Wolfie. That is what we spent all of our gold on, by the way, was buying Wolfie. And it's really worthwhile. On a team like this, where you are stacking wet charges too, the thunder damage can actually be surprisingly decent. Thunder damage, I think it's called lightning. But it's a nice thing to have. We have the Dispel Rain card as well. We plan to upgrade that into more of a global healing rain so that it applies wet to all enemies as so that Amelia can do more damage, especially with Laia going before Amelia and Navalea. We're able to take out the front 2 trees, which is a very good sign because those front 2 trees, if either of them get to go, can be really annoying. The first one's going to heal and speed up the entire team, most likely. And then the second one is going to potentially shackles 2 of your teammates, which is really, really bad. Because then you have a really delayed turn here, unless you have a ton of frost like we do, where he's actually going to negative 15 speed. We have to make sure that we survive this attack here. I wasn't too worried about Amelia attacking into the bunch of thorns because she's going to have a stack of evasive thanks to the evasive armor, so she doesn't take any damage from his one attack that he does this turn. So I knew we were pretty in the clear after this, and there's no way that we're not killing him. He has a decent amount of health, but it's not going to be enough to survive Amelia. Not when he also is going to get the vulnerability stacks back on him. Even the pummel from Yogger started taking him out. I did pick up pummel earlier on Yogger because since I'm going with a lot of crack damage anyways, it seemed like it'd be good. A lot of cards I potentially could have taken there, but I didn't want to. We could have had the purple round shield, but it would have been not too great. We'd take a lot of money here. Loot pool was pretty mediocre. We're going to go to the sand area first, and my plan is to get Durandal on Laia, so that Laia can at least do a little bit more damage In the late game, we're also going to get a purple QB as part of the plan, so we're going Laya special, pick up the pet path, which if you haven't unlocked QBs, well, here you go. This is how you can watch the rest of this act to find out how you unlocked QBs. It's really just taking Laya or Navalea to a special spot. You can get the dark or the light, depending on whose character choice you choose. And yeah, we're focusing on making sure that we have a little bit more damage cards, changing the upgrade cards to the ones that we want, like Healing Rain. We want it to apply wet to everybody instead of just getting rid of fire on our team and applying regen. And getting rid of our unupgraded Ice Barrier, because I didn't think I needed 3 of them. They weren't dealing damage straight away. We're going to be keeping that Winter's Orb, of course. We're getting rid of some of the more expensive cards in Yogger's deck that are attacks, because we don't need them. He's mostly on block duty right now. Having upgraded Blood Rain is really nice for us, though, so Yogger was able to pick up a few more blood range, which is good. Also, it counts as an attack, by the way, for anyone wondering. It's a skill attack, which is really interesting, because there's not a lot of attacks that don't do any base damage, I think. Blood range just happens to be one of them. I don't know, it might be the only one as far as I know, but I'm saying it might be one of them just because I don't remember all the cards in the game off the top of my head. Here, I want Shifting Scroll because I really want to find a Winter's Orb as fast as possible sometimes. Winter's Knight's Tale would also be a good pickup here for Amelia. Icicle Barrage is a pretty good card in general. It's not quite as good in this deck as it might be in the other deck that, sorry, in her, not other deck, but her other level up path. I'm going to get rid of Ground Slam, I think. Maybe not right now, but Ground Slam doesn't seem like it's as good. It's definitely something I could get rid of. Laya's deck ended up filling up faster than I thought. I want to upgrade the Ice Barrier so we get a bit more block out of them, and so that we can have an Ice Barrier staying in the deck. The taunt one does get banished if you play it. I want Laya to be able to do a bit more support. I'm definitely leaning into her support warrior cleric role rather than a damaging warrior cleric role, but like I said, we're going to be getting Durandal on her, which Durandal is a very good sword if you've not seen it yet. One of the reasons I came here first was that Laya could pop off a little bit better. The other reason I came here first was so that we could go to the Frostland on Act 3 when our decks are a little bit better put together, so we don't get as hard countered by the Frost, and ideally so that we find some speed items before going to the Frostland, because the Frost starting on us innately does slow us down a fair bit and may make surviving a little bit harder. One of the things that this team really desperately needed was more speed, just overall. This team, as you can see, does survive okay if we don't have a ton of speed, because we're usually able to guarantee going first on round 2. So even though Yogger hasn't had a ton of speed, it's been fine. We apply Frost and Slow to the entire team, or to the entire enemy team, so it's pretty good. Here we do fight an upgraded Lamia, who does counter all spells if she gets to survive. I believe someone corrected me in one of the videos, and it was Lana. Lana the Lamia. I want to say that was it. Unfortunately, she does get to go, which means she applies she goes before Amelia goes, I should say, which is really rough because we don't get to apply a bunch of Frost on her or anybody else. And she's going to do a huge hexproof where she basically gives everybody 7 what's it called, 7 buffer and 3 insulate, making them take 30% less damage from all of the mage types, that is lightning, fire, and frost, or cold. I would say frost. It's technically cold in this game. So she does get the silence off. It's very unfortunate. It means Amelia is not going to be doing a lot this fight. We just have to sort of wait out the silence and hopefully kill her before she does the silence again. It also means Laya's not going to be doing a lot this fight. This fight is particularly brutal for us because a counterspell person, I mean, this is just why. Like, you can see what happens if you don't have a counterspell person, if Lana gets to go off. Thankfully, Navalea is not using spells as the majority of her damage, so she is able to get the kills here, which is very good for us, and we're able to block out enough with Yogger to have the team just barely survive in a decent spot, so that now we can be unsilenced and get a bunch of Sanctify off and hopefully heal back up before we get into the next fight, because if we start at this health in the next fight, we will most certainly lose a character. And Navalea is really popping off on damage. Feels really good to see. Both her and Amelia do just a ton throughout the game. We're able to even kill the Scarab, so we get an extra 150 gold per hero. Divine Guidance is sort of the perfect offense-defense card. You can choose what route you want to go. There's a support way, there's a defense way, and there's a attack way, so it's really good. The attack way does give you a burn card though, or a card that applies fire, so we're probably not going to be using it too much. And this team doesn't apply wet as well as the full mage team did that we used last run, so yeah. We give up a little bit of damage, I would say, a little bit of consistency for the perk of being able to heal and block better, which overall made this far easier than last week's run, that's for sure. I didn't have any block there, so Winter's Orb doesn't do anything. That is one of the downfalls of this team as well, and one of the reasons I went for Laia being a blocker instead of a damage dealer is because we can get more blocks stacked up on Amelia a little bit faster, so those Winter's Orbs can be just better. The purple, gosh, what's it called? The purple powerful card that we get on the mage is really nice too. It is a free powerful because you draw a card, it costs 0. Very, very nice. We have an expected prophecy, basically draw all the cards we want, and we're killing them through the invisibility, which is great. I love killing things through invisibility. We pick up a purple Shake It Off on Yogger because it's very nice just to... Oh, I'm like trying to figure out what I was doing here. Right, we're going to remove some cards. So it's nice to have a cleric on the team so we can move cards. We pick up the purple Dispel on Yogger so he can Dispel 6, which can save a frontline warrior a lot of damage in the late game and just save the run in some cases because you get rid of your shackles, you get rid of all this fire, you get rid of all the sanctify. You can see just they stack up a ton of statuses straight away and make your life very, very difficult. Navalea nearly goes down here. Thankfully she doesn't. We're going to be able to apply some block to her with the Entrench on the next turn, so at least the barrier will stay. We also apply some rain to everybody thanks to Healing Rain, so we get rid of our burn anyways. And yeah, that team did a lot of damage to us. There's an argument that maybe I should have healed on the last fight, knowing what we were going to be fighting. I did end up losing the Scroll of Resurrection on Laia, the purple one, so she resurrected it at full there. It ends up being pretty worthwhile. I definitely needed that, because otherwise she was going to be shackled on the next turn, and otherwise like too slow to be able to go first. And now she wasn't too slow. I was able to apply a lot more heal, a lot more sanctify, and everybody could survive a lot better. So, yeah. Getting that purple Scroll of Resurrection, not bad. And it's not a bad time for it to pop because we can potentially find other better items later. Though it's always a decent option in the late game because you can just survive something that would otherwise kill your run. Yeah. Sausage Factory pops off here. We get a little bit of free healing thanks to it being a heal card plus applying regen. Laia is going to be able to attack, get heals off the Sanctify. I was thinking about whether I wanted to heal or play Divine Power. That's one of the things that we have through the other card that she got earlier. I pick up Last Stand on Yogger. We pick up another Bluff on Navalea, hoping to upgrade it. This fight, a Dark Monk, immune to Frost at the exact point that enemies scaled up and we haven't leveled up. This fight was actually the whole reason that this run took a little bit longer for me, is because I had to... I got here once before and I lost to this, not this exact fight, but a fight that was here where somebody was immune to Frost. And I just couldn't win with the team that I had, so I had to redo my run. That was with a Carry Laia version though. This fight was really difficult though. I basically lose entirely if I let the Harp Scaly guy go, or Scaly Lass, I guess. You can see I have to reload because I know that if she goes, I'm going to die. I've played this fight out, I think 3 or 4 times because I just have struggling so much with it. Oh my gosh. But she will speed up the entire team, meaning they will all go first on round 2, and that's when we die. Basically, the Dark Monk will pop everybody's Dark, Laia and Amelia will die, Yogger will survive at almost nothing, Navalea survives at almost nothing, and the two of them alone can't beat everybody else. I was able to always kill one guy. I wasn't sure if I could kill her or not. The reason I also can't let her go is because she will do some damage to us. With the Mark card or Mark enchantment that she puts on, but it's mainly the speed up thing. I really need them not to be able to speed up. So yeah, thankfully we have just enough damage to kill her. It's very, very tight. There's a very specific card order that I had that, at least with these draws that I was able to kill her with. Definitely could have had much better draws and it wouldn't have been nearly as painful, but yeah. Now we're going to be able to do a lot better. Thankfully, monks are innately pretty slow, so we can apply slow to them even if we can't apply frost, and our entire team will still be faster than they are. Not by much, but just enough. And yeah, from there, the fight's not too hard, except for the fact that we want to kill the monk mostly. But we're able to get off a lot of block and a lot of heals, so now I'm not nearly as afraid of just dying immediately. Though if we can kill the monk, there's no reason not to, because he is terrifying. Stacking up as much block on myself is really what I want to do, so that Winter's Orb could do better. I unfortunately won't get the chance to. I should play Winter's Orb now, then Spell Discharge. Yep, there we go. And we get the kill on all of them round 2. So, very difficult fight that ends up going fairly well if played correctly. Purple Frostbolt looks interesting to me. It does apply the Eldritch Blade passive, so I think that's pretty nice. We get dinners ready here. We go Warrior Duality, so we reduce cards of Warrior or Cleric cards, depending on which ones we play. We go with the Spell Sword, no, not Spell Sword, what's it called? I can't see. Frost Swords, yeah, we'll go with Frost Swords here. Reducing the Eldritch requirement to 1 or more energy instead of 2 on spells, but Spell Sword also only increases your damage by 1 instead. When you reach 5, you put a Frost Discharge into your hand. I think you could go the other one and you'd be just fine, but I like going that one to proc it a little bit easier because I take some cheaper spells on Amelia. They're both pretty decent. The time loop's probably better. We get the purple QB here, and that's also going to be giving Laia Bless every single turn whenever it attacks, because it does a Holy Smite, and it applies a good amount of Sanctify as well. So, our team is looking a lot better now. I don't think there's as much to worry about because we did get the level up right after the hard fight, so now we're scaled up with the enemies that scaled up midway through this act. Our Divine Guidance is doing work for us. We are able to get a lot of support now. We have a lot of energy too. We have mostly Cleric cards though, so that's one of the problems, is that Laia's deck is not super well balanced to be able to play all her cards. But that's not going to matter too much of the time. The transmission purple here was a very interesting call. I don't think it was actually good for her because it shows up innately, which is something I hadn't factored in when I first picked it up. I thought a 1-cost transmission that gives 2 energy and 1 inspire was pretty good, but given that she's our main damage dealer, it really wasn't worth picking up. Now, funny enough, because I'm disarmed, I can't play Blood Rain because it's a attack, though I was able to dispel with the skill, and then I was able to attack. So just an interesting little thing about Blood Rain there. We were able to pick up a Holy Storm last battle too, so we got a very good card reward in Holy Storm because the more warrior cards we play, the more we're going to be able to play that easily. We have Helping Hands and Intercepts to make it cheaper, thanks to her Warrior Duality, and going to be able to really just play all the cards in our hand. So yeah, we're definitely applying a lot more Sanctify now to everybody else. Laia's getting at least a little bit of Bless, so she's going to be doing a bit more damage each turn, as on top of all the support that she's giving to both Navalea and Amelia. And yeah, not too much more to say about this fight. This fight was pretty standard, pretty easy. We've definitely focused down the right target first, though I don't think it would have mattered too much either way, and Amelia cleans up to round 2. I think most of our kills were round 2. We had a really strong round 2 team, and we're able to get a free upgrade on cards, which is really nice. Getting a free Last Stand or free upgrade on Last Stand is what I wanted. We get Shattered upgraded to yellow, so it affects everybody. We get Bluff upgraded because that was the most expensive card to upgrade in Navalea's deck, and it's going to be applying Crack. Crack is the main thing I'm focusing on. Now, I don't know how good Para Protection really feels on Laia anymore, but it's definitely okay. Now, I'm going to slow back down the footage here so that you can watch this at real speed. And here is the card game. And yeah, this is real speed. It's basically impossible to follow. I did record, slow it down, so I was able to follow on the recording that was slowed down to 0.25 speed. And even then, you can see I got it wrong when doing one of the records. So yeah, figuring this out's a little bit challenging, but we are able to get all the rewards in the end, which is a very big boost to us. There's also a new epic event here I've never gotten before, which they added in the DLC. It's a Holy Blob, so if we give up an accessory, we can have one of our teammates pick this up. It also gives Bless every turn, which I didn't realize, but that's really great. And it gives some Sanctify, so I picked that up on Navalea because I didn't have a plan for a pet for her really. Here have the there's a guide basically on the Discord that has all the answers for this, so I looked up what that was and I was like, right, I know across the Obelisk lore it's Karme. Haha, got it. We are very lucky in picking up a purple Durandal here and a purple Holy Rune. I really would love the purple Holy Rune on Laia, especially as she doesn't have an accessory. Berserker Claw on Yogger is just kind of funny. We could increase the charges on it later. Purple Durandal does give us 7% HP and 1 Bless, and it gives us +2 Sanctify charges instead of +1. It also ups all damage by 3 instead of just slashing. So it is pretty good. Holy Rune isn't really the best on anyone, but I figure Navalea has a free slot, and she's going to be having a slime as well that's applying Sanctify. So now Navalea is actually going to apply a fair amount of Sanctify to the entire enemy team, which is, you know, just gravy, kind of, except for the fact that she doesn't want to heal up. But you can't win them all, and I'm okay with Amelia doing the majority of damage, even if we're not going full into Navalea's passive here. I already did the full self-damage run on Navalea. I also was trying to see if I could go infinite with Navalea here with the double bluffs and some repetition trainings, but we'll see how that works out. Because for those who don't know, if you have invulnerability, you can actually get around the increased card cost when you cycle through your deck, and that can let you have potential infinites if you have a 0-cost card that draws you a card and you have 2 of those, and those are the only cards left in your graveyard. So yeah, it's a very roundabout way to try to go infinite on Madness 16, where otherwise you have no way of actually going infinite, as far as I'm aware. But very fun to pull off whenever you get the chance. It's not super good, and the only way to go invulnerable on Navalea and have it last is to have her die. So there's various ways to do that, but it was pretty fun. Highly recommend checking out the self-damage build, and maybe the end of it if you want to see that particular stunt pulled off on Madness 16, as that was pretty fun. Here, the reason Amelia is taking so much damage is because Scourge is going to proc the darkness, and it's just going to blow her up. So we definitely want to get rid of that. Thankfully, we can with Bathset's Grace. We took Sadness on this fight as well. I knew it was going to be a harder fight, but we had 3 turns to get Excellent. So I was hoping we'd still do the Excellent here. Amelia almost goes down. Thank goodness we were able to stop the damage there. We had Winter's Orb there. We probably could have killed if we had played it, but I wanted to heal up Amelia instead of having the kills go off now. She might have healed up enough with the Sanctify. I just wasn't sure, so I played it safe, and we did get to heal her up to full. Now I pick up a Blood Rage on Yogger because he definitely needed energy. I pick up Change Weapon on Laia because I'm planning to have her get her big weapon attack in the late game, which is a Divine Strike. Something that I would really seal the deal on her being both a support, block, and damage dealer. Yeah. It's very bad in the deck right now, and honestly I wouldn't recommend picking it up if you just have a few leftover shards before the end of the game. I'm getting rid of some Rains on our carries because it doesn't help them do damage immediately. We go with Laia's option here to start with a bit of resistances, because Zeal gives +7% resistances for each stack of it, which is pretty nice. Here we also have Piercing Hells. We picked up a Siege Breaker, which doubles crack and applies 5 vulnerability. Honestly, it's 2 things that we really wanted to do, which was have a card that stayed in our deck that applied a high amount of vulnerability so that we can really nuke down some bosses, get them up to the full 7, as well as potentially doubling up crack if we draw it a little bit later, and getting us to much higher base damage on the blunt damage for Navalea. Mortis shouldn't be too big of an issue for this team. We do have holy damage. The main things we need to worry about are killing his summons straight away, or killing his one summon that hasn't gone yet. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that easily, but I think we can pull it off with just the right amount of damage here. Doesn't look like it. Maybe. Ooh, yeah, we got him. Easy. So yeah, killed the second summon, who does actually a fair amount of damage and is really annoying. So now we can focus more of our attention on the backline boss. I think we might be able to kill him if we have enough damage coming out straight away. Otherwise, he does do a big heal. We are getting some Bless on Navalea every turn. God, that is great. If going this route, you should also make sure you pick up the Stack of Bless on Stack of Bless perk on Navalea, just in case you get that slime event as well, because it can be very good. as I think we're seeing. She has a lot of double damage cards in her deck too. So here I'm trying to see what order I can kill, or what order of cards will kill Mortis. We only have 6 energy, so I have to play it carefully. I go with the super block on the on the ice barrier there, and that ends up being correct. I get purple tremors on Laia, but not on Navalea, which makes me very sad. I really want the tremors on Navalea. It's not that good, but it might be decent with the icebreaker, so it'd be kind of fun. Here we find Cloak of Speed, which is just perfect. Here we, like I said, we played this whole act so that we could have a much higher chance of getting speed items. We hadn't found any speed items until now. So now Yogger going first will actually help us set up way better on the rest of these fights, and I can stress a lot less. Architect's Ring is just a very good card that gives the random hero Inspire and Energize, and then, you know, the plus 5% resistances that you normally get for a ring. Laia picking up a speed amulet here that gives her plus 3, makes her base speed 19. Very nice. Here I was always planning to go to the armory, but there's a rift that leads straight to the armory, and we were lucky enough to find that, so we're definitely going that way. Chalice of Kings is another really good weapon if you wanted something on Laia. Gives her increased bless charges, so she could potentially bless the entire team a little bit better. And especially if we pick up some more courage cards, that would help her pick up a paladin's armor so that she could bless the entire team even more, which was also my plan, was to have her pick up the paladin armor by giving the woman 200 gold who needs food for boats, or money for food and boat, but we gave her the money for food. One of the reasons you see me looking at courage cards for Laia there, because you can apply bless every time you apply courage. Also, if you get the purple version, you apply as much bless for as much courage as you put on, so it's pretty fun. I've never picked up the paladin's armor before, so I don't have a build around it, and I really wanted to try it out, but it's okay to not get it on this run. Can't have it all. Not that we're not gonna have the opportunity, of course. So here I buy 1 repetition training, still hoping for that potential infinite on Navalea. Though I'm going to be keeping a lot of the crack cards in the deck, because Curse of Fragility does pick up crack. We have the Warrior duality on Navalea as well, so that's one of the reasons that we want Curse of Fragility in the deck, is that we have mage cards that can cheapen our warrior cards, or warrior cards that can cheapen the Curse of Fragility to 0, and vice versa. Overall, it'll help us deal a lot more damage, plus the majority of damage we're going to be dealing is every time we apply crack. With Icebreaker, we'll be doing some frost damage, much like we did the last run. Here we have Pummel. I really want to upgrade Pummel so that I can hit any target. I was curious what melee card I wanted to keep in Yogger's deck, though, because he's definitely needed more as a support, so I only really have the flexibility to get 1 in his deck. He doesn't need it by any stretch, but it is nice to have a little bit of extra damage, especially in the later game. Here I thought about Anthem of Hope. Does give a lot of Inspire. I don't have too many shards left, though, so I need to definitely think about what I want to spend them on. Upgrades could be better than just picking up a another card. I get the draw on Flash, because I figure Laia has enough energy now with the Warrior Cleric duality, so that she can play cards more often. Archmage Book was a very nice pickup on Amelia here, by the way. It does get her a draw every time she plays a spell. We pick up Rifty on her as well, because we're going to be getting a purple Rifty, was the plan. Purple Rifty is pretty fun. There, I just played my turn order wrong. So you can see I'm reloading, because if I don't reload properly, then I don't get a premium meat. There's a really weird thing with adding meats to your deck, that it has actually a variable. When you reload the fight, it doesn't work quite right. So it's something really strange, but yeah. I got the meat in my deck, so if I play the last stand first, I could get Entrench. The reason I messed up the first fight was because I accidentally played the meat first, and then I drew into Entrench, which was awful. So much better that I'm able to play Entrench and at least survive. Otherwise, this fight was devastating. Bunnies are also just always annoying. Thankfully, we were able to go first with Yogger. Had we not gone first with Yogger, I think actually Navalea would have died on this exact fight. So definitely one of those things where we needed to be very careful on. We are giving them a lot of attack damage, though, by applying a bunch of Fury to all these enemies. We do have Rifty that steals now. Steals a aura. So it will always steal a front aura, given that we're giving them so much Fury. Amelia can steal a bunch of Fury and do a ton of damage. We need to kill that bunny, because otherwise the bunny spawns more bunnies and just keeps speeding up the entire team and making sure they go first. It's very, very annoying. We are going to kill the bunny fairly easily here. We can pick up another bluff, get a bit more damage. We're playing a lot of attacks, which means we're taking a lot of damage. But yeah, we get up to 100 Fury on Amelia, which is very fun. And then she's able to just do insane amount of damage. Here we get a purple Divine Guidance, so same reason I picked up the last Divine Guidance, I'm picking up that purple Divine Guidance. Might have wanted the pummel there on Navalea, I'm not really sure. I just wasn't sure if I was going to be able to upgrade that in time. We get the free upgrade though that we've got for taking the Corruption. And that's not so great on Amelia, but it is great on our other two heroes. And Bludgeon we're increasing so that it can just do a little bit more damage, I believe, and apply a little bit more crack. So overall, things are going pretty well. We're able to take these Corruption modifiers. I'm feeling like this team's in a very good spot. We're doing a lot of damage. Laya's deck is actually working out a lot better than I expected. It's not perfect. Perfect. Yeah, perfection. Sorry. It's not perfect. There's definitely, like, inefficiencies in it, but I'm at least able to play almost all my cards per turn, and that generally feels good. So, it feels like I'm doing something right if I can do that. I kept the transmission in my deck because I wasn't sure if I wanted to get rid of it. We were able to discard Winter's Orb. That's the other reason that we picked up the scroll that finds a spell and discards a card, is because we had Cold Snap. We could potentially pick up the card from our graveyard. I didn't use Winter's Orb there for some reason. Oh, because I wanted the block instead, I believe. I could only do one or the other. Yeah, a little bit unfortunate, but I guess it's okay. Here, Wrathset's Greatsword coming in nicely. We don't have a lot of burn stacking on us, so Zeal's not really doing too much in terms of helping our damage, but we are able to play Divine Power on both Amelia and on Navalea, so we get them up to their basic max powerful and get a little bit more bless on them as well. They're doing a lot more damage. Navalea's damage is falling behind a bit, one because she's not damaged a lot of the time. We have so much Sanctify that she actually just heals up a lot. And two, because we're focusing a lot on having her deck be better for when she gets Icebreaker. So I don't think the deck is really bad, it's just not where it should be. I didn't play the Divine Power there on Amelia because if I did, I wouldn't have a powerful card in her deck for later, and she was already at 7 powerful. This fight is fairly challenging because they're applying a bunch of resistances against the cold damage, thanks to Insulate, and the spider's putting those darn amnesias into my deck. I hate that spider. Spider's one of the hardest enemies in the game, if it gets to live. I swear, anyways. I'm not really sure. It's just, it's so frustrating when I face it with all clerics. So that's why I definitely go against it. This run definitely ends up being a little bit longer too than my normal runs. So if anybody's sticking through, thank you. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the comments that I get on each video too. And everybody who likes and subscribes. It really helps out a lot. So while this fight's still dragging on round 4, I just wanted to mention that. Yeah, here though, Navalea, we eventually apply enough crack on everybody that we can do enough damage to get kills. Navalea just has 10 energy, like I couldn't spend energy fast enough, so definitely a little bit of inefficiency in her deck there. And yeah, it doesn't really matter if we get the kill round 4 or 5 here since they're both goods, but might as well do what I can. The Starring Lizard's just living pretty well. Thankfully, we're also able to heal up pretty nicely on all of our heroes, and yeah, we survive. We're okay. Not going to pick up another Pain Suppression, doesn't seem good. None of those block cards are really wanted for Navalea because she's not our blocker. We're able to get the free upgrade on Battle Plan there, which is very nice. We get the free upgrade on Ice Barrier as well. Here we get an upgrade on Unstable Power, which is kind of whatever. But yeah, we get offered another free upgrade, which is kind of hilarious because there's just like, what, this is our 3rd free upgrade this area. So I'm like, yeah, you know what, why not? If we pick up a card, I don't really have anything like left that I really care about upgrading, but if we pick up a card, I could upgrade it, right? So in worst case scenario, I can upgrade something like some uncommon card and save 90 shards, which is something. Definitely matters. But yeah, you can see Change Weapon here is being exceedingly useless. Definitely something I should have saved for Act 4, or at least I should have had the version that doesn't innately start in the hand. I just wasn't thinking, I guess. Because, man, it has really made Laya's first hand suffer quite a bit. Yeah. Something I definitely didn't need. Here we do have to fight the Harpy in her tier 3 form, so she does apply a huge, what is that, speed up of 5 or 6 to the entire enemy team. And we also unfortunately have to face off against a guy who purges block and then a guy who goes invulnerable, so not the easiest hatch fight in the world. We're getting very few cards. Seemed like a lot of these hatches were coming out later rather than earlier. We get 2 there, so I don't think we drew like any hatches to round 1, and then we're drawing like 2 on round 2, so our round 2 is a lot weaker than I was expecting it to be. Thankfully, we have at least a good amount of Sanctify on the few enemies that are out, so we are able to heal up a little bit with Yogger and the rest of the team. Amelia is stacking up block quite nicely. We can get up to 7 powerful. We have a nice Winter's Orb. And a free shatter and an Eldritch Discharge, so we're able to do a lot of damage there. And we killed most of the enemy team. Of course, we can't kill the invulnerable guy. Now, one of the nice things is a Scarab does show up in this round, so we get a little bit lucky. If we can keep that Scarab alive, we can get more shards on the next turn. So now we're able to keep it alive without doing too much AoE. We can definitely kill the orb this next upcoming turn, though we don't want the spiders to be going before us, ideally, because otherwise they'll just hurt us a lot. And yeah, at this point we're going to be drawing a hatch basically every turn. So if we're not killing all the spiders, they're going to get to go. We unfortunately don't get the great, but that's okay. Getting a good isn't that much worse than getting a great. We are able to find a Dark Ritual on Navalea, which I was noticing Amelia was having some energy problems, so I pick it up. We get a Holy Ripple on Laya, which is another way for us to apply a good amount of Sanctify to the entire enemy team. And then Yogger picked up something there too. We are able to upgrade a lot of our cards here, so everything's pretty good. We're going down towards that rift, like I mentioned earlier. I want to get money for free from Yogger rather than giving up our rope for no good reason, really. I think the rope would have gotten us more money, but that's okay. We did pick up that purple Stockade on Yogger, which gives us just another decent block card in our deck. It also gives us... he gives a lot of vitality whenever he plays it too. The Thorns is nice, but it's not necessary. So yeah, this build's kind of fun now. Like, I'm definitely enjoying the DLC team. They're pretty good, all things considered. Like, even though they're not exactly meshing the best, I think they work together fairly well outside of like potentially Laya and Navalea. They definitely are a duo that don't work super well together, which, like, go figure. They're kind of antithesis of each other, so it makes a lot of sense. But it's fun nonetheless. I'm glad that there's at least 4 DLC characters to play around with, and they've added a lot of good content to this game. Like, I don't know, I've been really enjoying all the rifts. Like, one thing I do wish was that the rifts were permanent, like I think I mentioned last video. Just so you could plan around them, because they honestly just open up really great, unique routes that you can take that, like, it'd be fun to plan around them in my mind. Like, the rope ladders always existed, or have existed since the Yogger DLC, and those added like some changes to your routes that you could go that were kind of, I don't know how to say it. Like, they weren't like crazy changes to most routes. Like, I think the best one is here, where you could go up with Sylvie and get a rope ladder and go down into the crack rather than having to pay 1,000 gold to go take the boat. So that was like the biggest difference. But otherwise, yeah, I don't think there's anything like too crazy that you're missing out on in terms of routes with the ropes. For most teams, anyways, at least that I've played or that I've found. But for the rifts, they're actually like offering really, really cool routes, and you could re-roll the beginning ones, but you know, re-rolling is kind of whatever, not very fun. I get a purple change weapon here on Laya talking about the run again. We do have a Winter's Orb or Shatter I'm trying to decide between here. We pick up another bluff on Navalea. It is one of those cards that I really want. I pick up the purple change weapon for the same reason I picked up the regular change weapon. Here I want the Feed the Rich on Yogger because I think Feed the Rich is going to be really good. Heavenly Protection seems decent here, but I actually want Heavenly Justice because I want Laya to pick up her Divine Strike card, and for the next attack, every energy used, you deal a lot of damage, apply a lot of vulnerability. You apply Burn as well, but at this point I'm not as reliant on Wet as I was, and it does apply a Purge too when you play the Purge the Wicked, and applies a bunch of Sanctify and Bleed, so it's pretty good overall. I really enjoy it. I just have to find one. And unfortunately, we haven't found one just yet, so we'll have to potentially buy one in the next shop. Here, I want to take the Ice Palace for sure because I'm going the block damage build on Amelia, and then Navalea takes her. If she dies, she resurrects and becomes invulnerable for 1 turn, or 2 turns, but she has Doom on her. We also get to face off against another Rift. Like, I think they're always worth facing off against if you think you can beat them, because you'll do a ton of you'll do a ton of damage. I mean, they give you items that can help you do a ton of damage, especially if you're partial to cold builds. Though they can also help just general spellcasters as well with in the form of like Dimensional Crystal or something like that. So here we do find Heavenly Justice, but we don't really have an attack in Laya's deck, at least not one that costs energy. So she's gonna be a little bit lower there. We are lucky in the fact that Amelia's start on these Rift guys is very helpful. It makes it so they're all slowed and weak in the beginning, so that's also, I guess, why they didn't do that much damage in the beginning. Like when I said they don't do a lot of damage in the early game, it's probably because they're all weakened. That's why. There we do get the useful utility out of that double crack, apply 5 vulnerable card. We were able to get him up to max vulnerable, double the crack up to 54 rather than 27, so that Navalea can kill that bat guy a lot more easily. He is the main support for that entire team, not the main damage dealer, but being a support, he's very annoying. We are able to get the kill off on him there. We know that he's going to die to bleed because he's the only one who's going, or who has yet to go. There's no other monster going before him. We also have a ton of AoE. There's an argument to hit him with one of our cheaper cards here. So I'm trying to figure out what is the best play. I wanted to do Winter's Orb before I did Shatter, and it ended up just working out kind of nicely. More luck than anything else, of course. And yeah, here we get the kill with Laya. Shield Stance is pretty interesting, but I'm not applying so much block on myself that I really want to try it out. Bookworm is kind of good on Amelia if I can get a Winter's Knight's Tale, or with Winter's Knight's Tale, it's pretty nice. Throw Bolas is a way to shackle, which is pretty good because we're lacking on slowing some of the enemies down so that Amelia or Navalea can go first, so that's one of the reason I want to pick that up. A lot of good cards here, or sorry, items here, both. Both cards and items. Eldritch Sword, every turn applying a spell sword is pretty nice. Eldritch Cloak is really good whenever you play spell, get powerful and buffer, and also has a decent resistance and HP stat line. Dimensional Crystal, of course, whenever you play a spell, put a copy of it into your hand, so we're going to take that on Amelia for sure. And then Eldritch Ring, whenever you apply Frost, apply a Insanity as well, so we can actually get them up to max Insanity, which is pretty great. Something that I really like off of the new DLC is the pairing of Insanity and Frost. It's kind of weird, but Insanity didn't have a lot of pairing, or didn't have really much of any pairings outside of like Sight, so yeah, it's fun to see. This fight's a little bit hard for us because they do like to apply our curses back at us, and those dragons are very fast at 21 base speed, so outspeeding our Yogger, especially without his speed cloak, although they also apply a bunch of frost, which is one of the reasons that we get so slowed. So playing the ice barrier there on Amelia, because it gets rid of all her frost. She stole 6 speed charges from the dragon, so she's going to be able to go first, so my hope was that she could slow the rest of these guys, although the front 2 dragons also can't be frosted, which is one of the reasons that they're very challenging. We're able to use the cold hands to pick up Shatter, so our stuff is working out pretty well. As far as how much damage we're able to dish out. We're going into round 2 here. It's not too big of, we were in round 2 there. That was Amelia in round 2. Navalea should be able to do a good amount of damage herself as soon as she's able to go. The big dragon man isn't at that much power. We're going to buff up Navalea as much as possible. And once we beat this guy, we're going to be getting our main weapon for Navalea, which is pretty nice. Pick up Omnipotence on Laya so that she can have a bit more successful deck. I really wish it was Divine Strike instead, to be totally honest, because it does damage based off their Sanctify, gives you that Zeal. It really, like, Divine Strike would really complete Laya's deck. Unfortunately, she didn't find it. We get the Mono Gem on Amelia, though, so good cards overall. Just no Divine Strike on the character we want just yet, unfortunately. Here we did want to pick up Paladin Gauntlets on Laya initially, but I do play so many spells, and I'm not applying like a bunch of Courage as is, and it's not the purple Paladin Gauntlet, so I don't go for it. Throw my Amulet on Yogger is actually kind of nice, because it makes his Blood Rains apply 3 more wet, which is like doubling the wet charges he's applying, so you know what, like why not? Icebreaker's obviously going on Navalea, so that was always the plan. Just does so much for her, so much for the damage. Paladin Gauntlets, I'm just like, I have to debate like whether or not it's better. Here, there's nothing really crazy for Amelia. She kind of has all better items. I could have got the purple Berserker's Claw on Yogger as well, which would have been funny, but I don't think it was as good as just applying more wet charges and leaning into his support role a bit better. So, yeah, for Amelia, I don't think I want to take Glacial Hammer. I think I want the Spellbook instead. And I think that's like more of a personal choice. Either would be good. I pick up that defense card because she does actually play defense cards, so getting a little bit of fast on her is nice. It definitely is meaningful in some degree, and Blood Rain is now applying 6 wet per go, so I should honestly be stacking up more Blood Rains on Yogger. That seems like a real good plan. Yeah, and here's the Throw Bolas. Like I said, we're able to play like all our cards on Laya every turn. It feels very nice. A lot of those are big cards too, and we're playing so much Sanctify that like really, if we get to hit the enemy, we heal back up and we're fine. Unfortunately, Navalea just can't hurt herself too much anymore. Like you can see, she's just healing up way too well. Which is actually very nice on some fights where the enemies apply those Retribution cards where they deal damage if you attack them and stuff like that, or if they have a ton of thorns on them. Because it means Navalea can just get in there even while they're hurt. That's kind of always the deal with Sanctify, but even more so when you have self-damage cards like Navalea does. It just unfortunately means she's not getting her bonus damage passive to proc too often. But that's okay. She is doing a lot of damage nonetheless, and we're making really good use of the Icebreaker. So that she applies a ton of Frost to anybody she applies, or Frost and Frost cold damage to anybody she applies Crack to. Amelia is definitely taking over in the damage department, though, for us, and has been for probably this entire act, more so than Navalea. You can see she's wiping out enemies, though Navalea is definitely packing quite a bit of a punch. Take your bets now on who's dealing the most damage throughout. Is it going to be Navalea or Amelia? Yeah, gosh. That'd be really funny if somebody actually bet in the comments. If somebody actually made it to this part of the video and was listening. Oh, man. But yeah. This fight's going really well. I'm having a great time just rewatching this, honestly. I hope you all are too. This is a good point where I'm feeling like the run is strong. We're getting all the cards that we really want outside of the Divine Strike for now. We get Pummel on Navalea. That was one of the last cards that she was really missing. Her passive enchantment does allow her to play more cards. I should have picked up that other, what's it called? That battle plan on Yogger, the second one. I didn't think I was going to need the 2, but it was kind of late, and I was forgetting what my plan was. Because ultimately, I wanted to battle plan on Yogger so that he could have a book in his opening hand, and having 2 books in his opening hand would have been even better. So that when we pick up the, what's it called weapon here? Ink book, something like that. You know, the Ice Ink card where whenever you play book, you apply Wet and Frost to the entire enemy team. With all the wet charges that he has now, ooh, man, he could have applied so much wet to the entire enemy team before they even go. Like, that would have been 2 guaranteed right off the start. They stay in the deck, and it also helps them just cycle through his deck a little bit more. Not necessarily the most cost-effective play. Definitely 1 felt like the right choice. I misplayed Amelia's turn a little bit there. And I just reload that turn by exiting out and coming back in, so it starts on her turn. So that way I don't have to play through this entire fight again up to this point, because that would just be really annoying. The dragon does get to survive up to round 3. If you don't kill him before he goes on round 2, his passive enchantment there makes it really hard to actually get the kill. He can be shackles, which is fun. I think the Hydras are the only one who can't be shackled as a normal boss. I could be wrong about that. There might be another boss that can't be shackled. Outside of the final bosses, of course. The final bosses, I believe... No, I think the final bosses can be shackled as well. Their clones can't. But anyways, Dragon's not too big of a deal for us. Probably didn't even have to reload if I didn't want to. Get another Omnipotence. Navalea gets another Divine Strike option, which again, not what I wanted. I'm just like a little bit annoyed about not getting it. Omnipotence is a very good card. Mass Dispel is also a very good card, and I think maybe it would be better for the team. Freezing Ink, that is what it's called. We do a lot of frost damage, we do apply a lot of wet, and Freezing Ink's definitely what I want on Yogger, so that he can set up Amelia and Navalea as best as possible, because now Navalea is going to be damaging based off of Icebreaker, which is mostly frost damage, so it gets all the wet perk bonuses as well. Favorwork Scaled gives a lot of block for Amelia. This is now going to make it so whenever she applies chill, she gets 3 block. I believe this procs twice if you have the icicles that apply chill to both yourself and an enemy. So she's going to be scaling up her block quite fast, even without the defense cards. Moving on to Act 4. We just have a few things in the shop. Amulet of Speed's pretty good. A speed item or speed armor on Navalea could be nice to have her just go that little bit faster, maybe slow down the enemy team better. Pious Ring is really nice because it applies more Sanctify charges, though I don't feel like I desperately need it, thanks to Navalea's kind of core kit of having a Holy Slime and a what's called Holy Rune at purple. So I'm going to opt not to have it. Here, I really just want to thin out my deck as much as possible so that I can support both Navalea and Amelia as best as possible with Laya. And then also potentially have the chance of getting a Divine Strike. Though I only have 1518 shards, so if I wanted an upgraded Divine Strike, which generally you do because the first version of it only targets the front monster, which isn't necessarily what you want to do. And I believe it vanishes. So... whereas the other version can target any monster and doesn't vanish. So yeah, typically I want that to stay in Laya's deck, and then Laya will be doing really big damage, but with only 1518 shards, I essentially have to spend all my shards on that, and I don't necessarily want to. So yeah, you can just see I'll go through the rest of the run here. I'm gonna let the run play out a little bit, and I'm actually going to have a little bit of a break here. Yeah. See my slow edits here, my mind working, going through all the cards that we need to get rid of or keep in. It took a while for me to decide whether I wanted to spend my money on Divine Strike or not, but I ultimately decided that I didn't want to spend everything on Divine Strike and hoped that I would just get it in a card reward. We're in the final act, so we're getting pretty much all gold rewards all the time. Laya still has so many cards in her deck, so it'd be nice to get rid of some. Getting Winter's Knight's Tale on Amelia is really nice. I do plan on going the bottom route, so if we can corrupt Winter's Knight's Tale, that'd be really good. If we can't corrupt it, then whatever. I probably should have spent the shards to upgrade it there, now that I'm thinking about it, but you know, whatever. I actually didn't plan on going towards the bell, but I do realize that going towards the bell is the best thing to do. We take a hexproof here because I'm fairly confident I can get through hexproof, even though it will be a little bit difficult, but Amelia goes last, so I at least am confident I can apply frost to most of the enemies. And yeah, actually I am going to be back in a little bit. I'm going to let the recording play out though, so hope you enjoy. And hope you enjoy the music, which I think, you know, now is having copyright claims and stuff. There's something going on with the Across the Obelisk music, so I think it has to do with the fact that they're using a free source creator or something like that, and somebody was putting up posts. I have like one of the comments of copyright use on my video, but I think because I'm doing it for gameplay, it's pretty, or from the game itself, it's pretty okay. So yeah, I will be back in a bit, and I hope you enjoy the fights and potentially the upgrades on the bell. I am going to upgrade the Winter's Knight's Tale to purple if I can. If I can. Hello, I'm back. I hope you've been enjoying the gameplay. We did take the Meteor Corruption here. It was a little bit spooky, but our team's pretty strong. Pretty sure we can handle it. I'm definitely curious to see how many people will even notice that I left during this part, because I think this part's like one of the least watched parts of most of my videos. So, of those people who even watch this part, I wonder how many might even notice. Well, we'll see. Purple Meditate here is a very good card reward. Something that's very nice for us to pick up. I thought about Infuriate here because I was like, maybe I could get Fury on Navalea, so like, and then we could stack it up with Infuriate and with Yogger. We did want the shop modifier here. We do find an Archmage book, so we can get a purple Archmage book, which I believe I had on the last Amelia run that I won with, which was pretty cool. Holy Grail is really neat, but it's not the legendary weapon that I was thinking of for Laya. I might have changed out my weapon on Laya if I had the, what's it called? There's the one wherever you apply Bless, you deal holy damage. So yeah, definitely was looking for some decent shop items there, and was hoping I could potentially shop or get something good. But we ended up getting the increase in price here. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to upgrade straight away, but it's going to be Winter's Knight's Tale, as I was mentioning before, because that's kind of the best purple that I could get. It is very risky in the sense that like I could lose one of my better cards in Amelia's deck, but overall, I thought it was worth the risk. And getting Winter's Knight's Tale, which puts 3 vanished cards in your deck. No, it puts 3 cards that stay in your deck, actually. So maybe it wasn't the better call. I keep forgetting about that. Yeah, Purple's Winter Knight's Tale stays in the deck, which sometimes you want the vanish cards for Amelia. But the rest of her spell cards were vanishing, so I'll say it's kind of 50-50 either way. Divine Guidance here is really nice. We get that Divine Power, so we're going to be able to buff up people really highly. The Omnipotence, you can see, is drawing us a lot of cards that we want and getting us a ton of energy as well. The Fury is nice. We get a attack at least with our Shackles card there, so we can purge the Wicked, which does get rid of a bit of the wet, which isn't that great, but you know, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Navalea here, doing a lot with the bluffs. We definitely have a lot of damage coming out. Now, I did pick up the purple Battle Shout because it does give us reinforce on everybody, as well as stacks up our powerful on everyone, which we haven't been doing the entire time. So yeah, we have that second Shatter as well in Amelia's deck, which is very nice. So we do have at least one card that is guaranteed to stay in the deck that does a good amount of damage. I think everything else vanishes that does any sort of decent damage. Like all the Icicles, all the Shatters, the Winter's Orb. Yeah, pretty much everything. So thankfully at this point we are able to get a good source of damage up. Or rather, we're able to do damage so consistently that we're winning round 2 a lot and getting a lot more excellence, so our card pool is looking a little bit better. Arguably, though, that maybe is worse because then we don't get Divine Strike as often. I'm not quite sure, because that's pretty much the last card that I'm looking for here. Yeah, Flash Freeze, again, I'm not taking it on Amelia. It could be really good. Doubling it up is really nice to survive a turn, but because we're able to heal, it's not like as critical as it was on the last run when we were all cold and couldn't heal, where we needed to freeze specific enemies. I thought about going down to go to the shop, or what I thought might be a shop, but it's not a shop, on that vessel, because it's not a shop unless you bring Nesglect, and then it's a free shop. It's very weird because they don't have any items in. Maybe if you bring the box, you get the items, and then it actually is a shop. I don't know. Weird. But having to bring the box is a huge pain, so don't do it. Unless you need to unlock Nesglect. Infuriate. Yeah, I probably should be getting rid of that. I was really hoping that maybe I could do something else. I'm going to go for an exotic equipment shop again, because I think that I could really use it. I have a lot of money. Who knows when we're going to get another chance to use that money on a shop. And there's always some good items that I could get that would help out this run a lot. Mainly, I'm looking for armor for Navalea at this point. Something that gives her speed would be nice. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just something that gives her speed would be nice. Much more than that. This fight was a little bit challenging because I believe the bat guy just does a lot of damage. The gun guy does a ton of damage too. I had to retry this fight, I think, once or twice because I accidentally played too many attacks. We are able to steal Fury with Navalea, though, thanks to Rifty. Rifty's putting in a lot of work. I do have to remember what cards I'm doubling up on a lot of the time as well. So we have another Winter's Orb here. Having 2 Winter's Orbs at the upgrade that we want is very nice. Dealing damage based off the block. We're able to get up a ton of block just very quickly with Amelia. Yogger unfortunately dies. Wasn't expecting that high amount of base damage to come straight out, but it happened. And yeah, I'm able to heal up Laya mostly to full, so it would be okay. At least Yogger will be at a good amount of HP for the next fight. We have a lot of these cards. Infuriate's doing a whole lot of nothing for Navalea, so I don't know, maybe it would have been better to have Rifty on Navalea instead and have the heal blob on Amelia, but I had the squirrel on Amelia earlier, so I think that's why I didn't put the heal blob on Amelia. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why that might have been better if I had thought about buying Rifty in the first place, but you never know how much money you're going to have or what items you're going to find, so it's hard to say what's right. I let Amelia go there, by the way, to get a little bit more healing off. And here we find a purple Cloak of Speed. Purple Cloak of Speed is very, very good. We also find a Golden Bell. Golden Bell, whenever you heal a hero, apply Bless. Now, what I thought would happen is because of Sanctify, I check on Sanctify, by the way, I'm like, yeah, heals a hero by 1 HP per charge whenever you heal, like, you apply Bless, right? So I was like, okay, Laya with her healing should apply Bless on herself and then her allies if she's healing the people on the sides of her. So that should actually be pretty good. However, it doesn't apply healing to yourself apparently, but her passive, where she applies the healing to the allies on the side of her, actually does count as applying healing for the sake of Golden Bell. So you do get the blesses off on your allies. Very weird interaction there. I don't know, it feels a little bit inconsistent to me. Felt a little bit wonky when I was trying it out. I'll just say that much. Like, I can't say like it's right or wrong, but it's just, you know, felt like it acted as I wouldn't expect. I put the pain suppression on Yogger there because all we really need is Yogger to survive, and then we'll be probably okay. Even in a grind out fight against these bosses, I think we can survive. We keep drawing that Infuriate, and it's kind of infuriating me. Probably should have played it right there even. I'm not like getting anything out of it. I don't know where I was expecting my Fury source to come from, to be honest. I just was like, it's gonna come. It's gonna happen at some point. I'll find some way to get Fury. Very silly. Here we are focusing on taking down the light guy first, but we don't have nearly the damage to do it, so we're going to be focusing on taking down the dark champion next, because we don't want to take a whole bunch of damage from his AoE retribution thing. These guys, the twins, they're generally the most annoying fight in the game for me. They're definitely a gatekeeper of sorts. I think that applies to a lot of lower level Madness runs too, or people just trying to get through the game for like the first time. They just they have really good scaling, and they have really good anti-scaling mechanics. They don't necessarily debuff you a whole lot outside of making it so it's easier for them to do damage to you. But they do make it really hard to hurt them, and then their whole heal whenever you play a card enchantment debuff that they put on is very frustrating. So yeah, we're trying to do as much damage as possible to that dark twin in back. The light twin in front is now unfortunately free of blocks, so our random cards of dealing damage here are going to be a little bit scary to use. But our team thankfully has a good amount of tankiness at the moment that we could probably survive doing it. Still, I'm going to be trying to do as much as possible to have my random cards not hit everybody, though I'm noticing I probably just have the damage to get the kill here. So let's just get the kill. Kill turn 2 anyways, through the retribution, who cares. Divine Strike yet again shows up on Navalea, can't show up on Laya. I'm definitely mousing over it there in frustration on the run. That's very funny. Now there's Lightbringer. So Lightbringer was the legendary weapon I was talking about earlier that I thought about really wanting. There's also Dimensional Crystal, which is very good, but I already have most of the stuff I want. Like, I have Golden Bell on Laya, which I think is a lot more interesting than getting a Dimensional Crystal. We're not playing that many spells. Purple Durandal has been doing work for us, though, and we have so much Sanctify because of it, but because Navalea is also playing good amount of Sanctify, I think I can rely on that. Holy Camera, of course, is very good too. We could have had a purple one of those as well if you were paying attention on this run, as I was. Kingmaker, whenever you're healed, you get blessed. So if we could put Kingmaker on Amelia, then we can heal her up and with Golden Bell and be giving her the just other passive, or sorry, or like other Sanctify passive. She's going to be getting blessed from multiple sources, and yeah, we can actually stack up bless on Amelia pretty fast with this whole setup of Golden Bell on Laia there. We will be going for the Time Paradox on Amelia. I just think that's the better option of the two. Unrelenting Resentment might not come into play too much, but if Navalea gets really low health, we'll have that. We go for the attack route on Laia. Arguably, I should have gone for the Sanctify route, where we apply our heal even if we aren't full health on Laia. But I thought we had enough Sanctify, we'd be okay. The speed up here is very scary, though we're fighting a lot of slow enemies, so I knew Yogger would go first. It was actually just barely that he went first. I thought he was going to be outspeeding the front guys by a little bit more, but I ended up being wrong on that. So I felt like because we could apply our block in time, we'd be okay. Wasn't a guarantee though, looking at it now. So maybe a little bit risky. Maybe didn't need to do that risk. Here we unfortunately didn't get our passive on our passive enchantment on Navalea, so you can see without applying crack, she's not doing a whole lot of damage. But once we start applying crack, she's doing real good work. Amelia is also doing very solid work. She's getting everybody down to like close to half, and we're gonna be able to go first versus everybody else. Her ceiling speed ups with Rifty has also been very nifty. It allows us to basically apply Frost a earlier time to the rest of the enemy team, allowing Navalea to go first as well before the enemy gets to go on round 2. Because at this point they have such high speeds, or at least with the enchantment they have such high speeds, that it's really hard to do that most of the time. Though at this point I'm not even sure it's going to be necessary, because we have Winter's Palace, we have another Winter Orb for cheap, we have all these Icicles, we can get an Ice Barrier, we can do Winter Orb, we can go crazy. So yeah, we just have the damage there. Navalea sweeps. Pick up Vampiric Tutor. Don't see why not. Taking a little bit of damage doesn't really hurt us too much. With Sanctify, we're going to heal up a lot. And then we're going to be applying... there's a few spells that we still want to find turn 1 if we can, and Vampiric Tutor makes that more likely. I'm debating Invigorating Blow or Reinforce there. We have another Berserker's Claw, which is very funny. Obviously, I can't take that on Navalea to get her the Fury, because if I did that, I would lose out on the whole reason she's doing damage in the first place, which is the Icebreaker. So, yeah, definitely just get rid of Infuriate instead. It doesn't belong in the deck. Do I do that here? Gosh, I hope I do that. Please. There. Oh, I ran out of gold! It's okay, we'll have one more card removed before the end. I do remember thinking that. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get rid of Infuriate. That's like the one thing I need to do. We have one more card here before the card removed before the end, so we'll be pretty okay. Here we do get lucky. We get the 30% discount, so at least one of our attempts here pays off. And we're going to be able to upgrade most of our cards if we really want. Change all our cards that we need to. We have Double Last Stand. So we unfortunately didn't get a Citadel yet. I'm really hoping to pick up Citadel on Yogger, but it's okay if he doesn't get it. He's still supporting the team pretty well, applying a decent amount of block, and it just increases our chance of getting that early game entrench, which will let us retain our block a lot more often. Amelia is getting up to 400 block so commonly now, thanks to all those block stacks that she had and the Freyborg's armor. So we are able to upgrade Vampiric Tutor here, because there's not really anything else I really cared about upgrading, and yeah. Upwind is kind of scary. We can remove 2 cards, but like I don't really need to. And then also making sure that all monsters start before us is like a little bit worrying. I was at full health though, so I thought, hey, maybe I can deal with it. Yogger definitely gets lower than I would have liked. I want to say there's like a turn order here, which maybe he could have died. I'm not sure. I figured we could heal back up though. So that's one of the reasons that I wasn't too worried in this team. I do regret not picking up that second battle plan on Yogger. Man, that would have been nice. Omnipotence, we're getting rid of all their cards that don't really matter. We also never found a Divine Strike on Laia, which is making me very sad, so I'm really hoping to find one at the end of this fight, because my goodness, would that change her DPS? She would go from doing an okay amount of damage, but mainly a support apply Sanctify utility to a actually very respectable amount of damage and a high utility on the get Purge all, or Purge 2 on all enemies. But sadly, it's looking pretty grim. I only have 2 more chances to get the Divine Strikes, and she finds 2 Cleric cards and 2 Warrior cards at the end of every fight. So the chances at this point I knew were pretty unlikely, and maybe I should have bought that 1 Divine Strike. Could have been the key there, and then I could have upgraded it at least when we got here. So we get the Purple Winterzite's Tail. That's one of the things that searching up the book allows us to do, which is pretty good. We have the Shifting Scroll. We don't have Cold Hands in hand, though, so there's no real reason to do Shifting Scroll just yet. We did make sure that we're playing our Winter's Orb turn 1, or as our first spell, because we want to copy it. We have a lot of damage coming out with Amelia now. I actually don't have the damage to finish off this guy with just Amelia. Her popping Dark on herself isn't too bad, though, because she has a lot of block, and yeah, we're able to do pretty well. Here, Heavenly Blessing looks really fun, because I actually am good with energy right now. Book of Nightmares, I don't have a way to transform damage, so I'm not going to take that on Amelia. Bouncing Shield, I'm not getting a ton of block on Yogger, so I don't really think I'm going to take that either. Shield Slam doesn't apply enough slow in that version, so it's not worth taking either. Here I do get rid of that 1 Infuriate. I think that's like the only card I really need to get rid of. I could get rid of Sunbeam here potentially, but it does do more damage with the Bless that she has, though at this point I'm not applying as much Bless on myself because I don't have Durandal anymore. So I get rid of that. Oh man. Talking fast it's fun. So that was the card remove that we got there. Oh, that was from the fight. That wasn't from the area. So at this point, I knew I didn't have any other cards I really wanted to get rid of, so I just skipped and healed instead. Just whatever. Hanshek, I really would love to kill round 2 to save our pets. Saving Rifty is nice. Having a Purple Wolfie is always nice. And having the blob around is kind of fun. It does get that little bit of Bless on Navalea. That Bless has been useful in game. Like I said, I think if I was going to change 1 perk, I would have gotten rid of like the mark. Nah, maybe I would have kept the mark on Navalea. I would have gotten rid of like 1 of her resistance perks or whatever, because I think she had like, yeah, she definitely had a resistance perk she could get rid of to get a Bless. And then on the off chance that you get the Holy Slime, I'm not sure how often that epic event appears, then you could really just be scaling up your damage twice as fast, which is cool. I like that feature. Or that feature. I like that pet. Here we're able to get a free Winter's Orb. We can play that first, so we have to play it even though we don't have a ton of block right now. Here now my main goal is to get as much block as possible before I play my other Winter's Orb, which I can do by applying a bunch of Frost or getting my Ice Barriers out. So it's a very tricky set of energy constraints here, because I don't actually have a ton of energy on Amelia. I wasn't providing the most energy with everybody else, and she doesn't have a cost reduce card in her deck because I didn't go with her other enchantment. Not that I would have drawn it this turn anyway. Still, the important part was to apply enough Frost on the entire enemy team that I could go faster than them by applying Slow with Yogger, and I was able to do just that. So now we can focus on killing the clones and making sure they don't heal up Hanshek and make this whole fight be very, very painful by virtue of Hanshek doing his whole turn fire to dark and kill everybody move on round 3. So yeah. Not to mention the healing of Hanshek is just really annoying. So at this point I definitely switched strategies, knew I wasn't going to have the damage that I wanted, and decided to focus my attention on the other clones here. Now I really wanted to find the enchantment, the Shattering Fist. There we go. We got it with Navalea, so now she can do a little bit more damage, and by a little bit more damage I mean a lot of bit more damage. There we go. That's a very good pump up damage right there. We are able to battle shout, so we gave it at least a little bit powerful to Navalea, or Amelia, who definitely needed it actually. Well, kind of needed it. She does have the purple spellbook now that I think about it, so maybe she doesn't really need it. It's a strong word. Here I'm trying to play cards that stack up Spell Sword at the right rate, because I want to play all my Vanish cards before I stack up Spell Sword to 5 so that we can have them all shuffled back into the deck. So I am at Spell Sword 4 right now, so the last thing I really want to play is my Mono Gem right there. Now all my Vanish cards get shuffled back into my deck. So we're going to have them for the next turn, and they're going to all be reduced by 3 cost, as well as I get an Inspire, which is very cool. The clone is going before Hanshek, so I don't have to worry about him surviving from Hanshek's damage, so I can just let him die to the bleed there. And yeah, Hanshek is slowed. He kills all our pets, so no pet saving this time. Not like last time. God, last time was so much fun too. That was a really difficult run to start out with. Like the first half of that run is just like Acts 1 and 2 is pure pain and suffering. But once you get through the pain and suffering, it becomes really strong. Though you still have to play really carefully since you can't heal. So it's a very, very entertaining run, to say the least. And this run has been very solid throughout. Like, definitely the early game is a lot harder, as I think I mentioned before, and there's that one area in the sand like fight that I think is just going to be a pain in general, especially if someone resists frost, like the monk did when we fought them. So yeah, we get a purple Winter's Knight's Tale here for free because it stayed in our deck, so now we have a ton of energy. We can play that huge Ice Comet for fun. We're doing like, I don't know, what was that, like 3,000 damage with every Winter Orb we were playing, and we just played 2? God, that was incredible. It's that 5,000 health, we killed him with 2 cards, and we had like so much more damage in hand to spare. So, Amelia, I'm having a lot of fun with her. I don't know if I'm going to take a break with her on the next week, or if I'm going to show off, I want to do the Mind Sharpness build with Gustav, since she does have that level 3 enchantment that transforms all her damage into Mind. And that seems like a lot of fun to me. So we could go with the Sharp, the Nightmares, and have a completely different build for her, not Frost related, but we'll see. I also have 2 other build ideas that I really wanted to try out. If anybody's listening actually at this point while the final boss gets decimated by my plays here, I would be curious to hear what you want to see. If you want to see Amelia doing more work with the Mind Sharpness build on the next week's video, let me know. Or if you want to see me do another special build, man, do I spoil it? Yeah, I think I'll spoil it a little bit for anybody who's listening to this point. If you want to see the special build I'm cooking up that's going to be a true challenge, let me know. And that build is going to be, is there a way I can give a hint without like showing off or saying exactly what it is? I think I can. I can give a little bit of a hint. Let's see, that build is going to basically try and not do any direct damage through cards. So yeah, I want to see if I can win on Madness 16 without having any direct damage cards. That's like basically, I don't know if that's even possible, but that's something I've been meaning to try for a little bit now. The other build that I was also thinking about was apply every status and try to max out every status on the enemies, just for fun. That one's more, I don't know how hard that run will be. I think the only challenge will be being able to apply every status. I think the only one that like directly interferes is Wet and Fire, so I can't do those 2. Like I know that that's a thing, so I think I'd just focus on Fire rather than Wet, because that seems more fun. Especially because I've been doing the Wet builds a little bit more frequently recently. So yeah. They'll be kind of like Frostfire, but to the extreme, where we do everything, you know, Bleed, Poison, Vulnerability, Crack, Insanity, Sight, Dark, what have you. Yeah. Anyways, if any of those sound interesting to you, I do plan on doing them all eventually, but let me know. Be curious what people want to see next. And if you made it this far in the video, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Here, I think he's gonna die this turn. It's round 3. We have him at 5,800 HP. We've been doing like a cool, like almost 5,000 a turn, and we're only scaled up even higher now than we were before. So, yeah, God, Navalea is gonna almost kill him. My goodness, we have so much extra damage. We could have done like the full 14,000 damage already. Actually, no, this turn's really bad on Amelia. No, never mind. It's not. We get the Winter's Orb anyway. Yeah. Wow. Incredible. We get 2 unlocks. We get our best score ever somehow again. I guess we took a lot of corruption modifiers. The time played was very, very long on this video, largely because I paused for like a good 3 hours to watch a show or something. I just like left it on. You see we had a few runs there, but as usual, I'll go through all the items and go through the cards. You can see our final deck layout. Yeah, like I said, the only thing really missing for me to make every hero shine to the best of their ability was the Divine Strike on Laia. I felt like otherwise, Navalea did great work, Amelia did great work, Yogger was doing his thing, showing off a really good skill. Laia still did really good work in terms of applying Bless to everybody. Like Amelia was at 50 Bless there, that was pretty clutch. Still really good damage, and Lightbringer was doing good stuff too. So yeah, I had a really fun time with this run. The DLC characters are definitely all a lot of fun. If you enjoyed... Oh yeah, if you had that bet, here we go. Yeah, Amelia definitely ends up doing more damage throughout the run, especially in the later game there. I think it was just clear to see. Navalea was close, she did 28,000, and Laia did a little bit, not nearly as much, and Yogger did almost nothing. But that's going to be it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day or night wherever you are, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like or consider subscribing. See ya!